So, like we were just saying, I am
Hmm.
so hype right now because daylight savings time is coming up. It's about to get dark later again.
You
The
know, it's the
sun
last
is
one ever,
shining.
right?
It is. They finally ended up
Yeah, they
deciding
passed the
it.
bill. Yeah,
Oh
it's the
my
last one ever.
gosh,
That's
bro.
crazy.
Time is no longer changing ever again.
Ah, man. Thank the Lord, bro. I hate that, man. It really like bums me out like 15%. Like just constantly.
50%.
So annoying, bro. But
I
I
should
was
have
saying,
looked.
like, now that it's like everybody comes out of hibernation, like, I just got invited to a whole bunch of things. You know what I mean? I'm starting to like fill up my schedule for the next couple of months. Like, I'm just super hyped.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I always enjoy the vibe in this time of year, man. It's like the best time, spring and summer. I mean, that's pretty much a lot of people, but spring and
Yeah.
summer, it's the go.
No, I'm looking forward to spending. We're wifey and I are gonna spend at least 3 weeks in Orlando, end of March, beginning of April. Just catching up with people, catching up with family, doing things. I told Les, we're gonna come through. I was hoping to get a grounded session, but looking grounded session might be the weekend of May, so we hold
Hmm.
off for that.
Let's get it.
Um, but yeah, it's gonna be the next month and a half, 2 months is gonna be a lot of stuff going on. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna
For
be a good time.
sure.
Yeah, man. I know Quincy, you dropped that elevator joint. How's that reception been? How do you feel? After kind of
Wait, did you though?
he dropped the elevate. He
I
just
dropped the
ain't dropped
song.
the
Yeah,
full
the
elevation.
video drops. By the time they hear this, it'll be out, but it drops tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, so far the reception's been really good, man. I feel like a lot of people that have actually, said like people that kind of know me from the past that have said stuff to me about it, like they really hear like the growth, just in the sound. You know what I'm saying? Which is dope because like again, I haven't really been dropping music like that. So to come out and drop something and everybody's like, they hear the growth. That's I feel like that speaks to my growth as a person.
So peep this. Just like from the outside looking in, and maybe something people might be interested in is like when you drop a song as an artist,
Mhm.
obviously, our expectation is the most people possible to hear it and like it. But what's the other expectation slash what do you judge as a good reception? You know what I mean?
For me, like when it comes to the immediate people that you directly have dealt with for a long time, because a lot of people closer to you, they may not say anything, but they see it. But when you get a reaction out of those people, that's when you feel like, or you're on the right track. Because to be honest with you, those are going to be the last people to give you that. You know what I'm saying? Like unless they just really rock with you from the jump, But for the most part, those people aren't going to be the ones to give you that first look. So it's like once you start getting that look, you're doing something right.
And even from the point of view of the consumer, because this is something we were talking about before too. Sometimes I don't know if it's like the old school in me or if it's just something that people do in general. But sometimes I'll see some content, think it's dope, maybe even share it with people, share it in a group chat, share it on IG, start messing with it as far as like if it's music or whatever it is. But I won't really interact with it. And it's no malice. It's just not really something that is a priority in my mind. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and that's something I feel like I have kind of learned to put into my head when I'm putting things out. I'm kind of looking at different metrics to really see what the impact is that doesn't really have to do with, let's say, social media or followers or things like that, because that doesn't always tell the whole story. You know what I mean? And that's kind of something that you even brought up, Quincy, just as far as how some people are really, really addicted slash need that social media interaction and attention to kind of get their day going or just to feel like they're doing something.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I'm not gonna, call anybody out in particular, but I've personally seen people, post something and then, every 10 minutes kind of check the engagement. Is there likes? Is there comments? Like, and then, if there's not a lot of likes, it's like, should I take this down? I don't know. And it's like they're so consumed with the reaction of people that it's like, are you actually at this point, are you even posting what you would like to post? Are you posting what's going to get you that reaction? Like, are you expressing yourself or are you expressing what people want to see from you? You know what I mean? Like at that point, it's like, who are you?
And this is something that leads pretty good into the next thing that we were going to talk about, which I want to throw to Joe on because I feel like Joe's the one that's more tapped in from the point of view of he's more open to kind of listening to new sounds and trying out new artists and just kind of taking in like new experiences, even if it's music or going somewhere or whatever. Just we were talking about Ice Spice before, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just kind of looking at her music, looking at her trajectory and kind of seeing what kind of vibe she was going to be on. So,
Yeah.
if you want to give kind of like your take on it, Joe, and we can kind of discuss it.
Yeah, and you rolled it in. You rolled it in perfectly, and I follow. Um, I see all the new personalities in hip
I'm
hop,
sorry,
not
one
just
quick second, because I'm assuming everybody knows what I'm talking about. Ice Spice is a female rapper, very young. She dropped a couple of dope songs that have done very well. And we were just kind of talking about her longevity in the
yeah.
music space and hip hop and everything.
I'll go ahead and say my take. I'll say my take. So I said, when Cardi B, I know I followed Cardi B from when she was just on like Love and Hip Hop, and she had some random tracks out till she dropped the banger, which she really stole from Kodak Black's flow, but she did it and she did it good. And the thing about Cardi B was that her personality and her character was her, and it was genuine and it was effortless and it was likable.
Mm.
And just how, like I said, rolling out of the last conversation y'all just had, it's like people try to be a character, they try to be a certain personality for the attention, for people to like them, and you can immediately recognize that. So with Cardi B, it was so genuine. So she made a few good tracks on her own, right? On her own, literally with her street team. And then with her personality, with everything she did, she got the push to the label. Same thing we talked about with like the Bad Bunny thing and the Pitbull thing. You get the support of your label and you could blow up.
Mm.
But I feel, and I don't know if y'all agree, I feel like Cardi B stopped caring about music.
That's a perfect segue into how I feel about it because I'm not gonna lie, with the Cardi B thing, I haven't really been so tapped in, but I do feel like what you said is exactly it. There's a certain energy that certain people have with the kind of music they're coming with when they're dropping, that it's just kind of an organic vibe, and they're figuring out a way to make that come across in the music. And that works in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like for those kind of artists, it works. But at that point, you're in the music industry, you have to learn the music and you have to learn the way you structure songs, the things you do. You have to learn how to write, you have to learn how to produce. Not that you're going to do all that stuff, but you have to understand
Yeah.
all the angles of it to stay relevant and get better
Yeah.
and grow as an artist.
But my main thing is recognizing the authenticity. So like, and I give y'all two perfect example. Y'all two are artists. The Lester that sings and puts out songs is the same Lester that I know as a person. The Quincy that raps in his videos and the person he is in his videos is the same Quincy I know in real life. Y'all don't have like alternate characters that y'all are as artists. No, y'all literally yourselves as artists. There's very rare. I don't think every artist is like that. So Cardi B wasn't like that. The artist she was is the person she was in real life. It's you don't really get that, and that's why I think the authenticity is. I see that in Ice Spice. She's herself. She's unique. It's like authentic. Like
And
her
she has a
responses.
sound.
It's not like a script. It's
Mhm.
not something that her PR team is teaching her how to be. It's someone who she is, and she's just riding it. So I see her coming up like as Cardi B, and that she actually cares a lot about just making a lot of music, not just being famous, not just being in a thing. So I think if she keeps going and she gets that backup and that support from the label and the music industry like Cardi B did, and she could drop like a crazy. I wrote her a whole album during today's gym workout. It was nuts. I don't know why. We did back and biceps today, and we crushed it. And I crushed it to the ice. And I showed my wife like, look at that shit. I told you, this shit riding right now, dog.
So
Yeah.
So
Go
my,
ahead.
my my take on it is that, I I'm not sold on the longevity yet. And the main reason I'm not sold on the longevity yet is because the same way you're comparing her to Cardi B, I watched Cardi B get the same push and go on certain features and kill it. And she still was Cardi B. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I watched her do that crossover and succeed. For me, I haven't seen that yet. Even with
Yeah.
the song that I think it's like what's the name of this? Boy's a Liar or something like that. The one
Boy,
that's like,
Alina,
yeah.
that
But
boy,
even to me, bro,
Alina.
even to me,
That's my shit.
the song is cool. The song is cool. But when I hear the verse, bro, I hear the exact same. Like, there's no switch up. Which I'm not asking you to be a different artist.
There
You get
is
what I'm saying?
though.
No,
You can listen to the
I,
verse.
I did, bro. She's not talking about the concept
I
of the
think I think
song.
I got a good kind of bridge between both of y'all right now.
Mhm.
Because when you're talking, it kind of got my brain going, and it makes me think about Joel Santana.
Mhm.
He had a nice little run, you know what I'm saying? But the reason why his run didn't continue is because he didn't have that growth that we're all talking about.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
of
mean?
course.
And she has that same kind of aura and vibe where it's like, and you got to consider this too, Quincy. We old, bro. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like that stuff that she's dropping, we are way out of the demographic
Yeah.
for that.
That's real.
Yeah.
Not saying
That's
we're
real.
old, but musically in that space, in that target demo, we're old. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's
This
real.
this this is for people, you know what I'm saying? This is for people with a whole different vibe, mindset, different day to day. You know what I'm saying? Like we can
Mhm.
appreciate it, but
There is a
really,
huge demographic for her music.
exactly, for it to be something that's part of your
It's
life,
not us.
you got to be a different person. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's not us.
So that's why, like, even like I disagree with what you're saying about you don't see the longevity. I'm not saying I do see it, but I'm saying you can't judge that. You know what I
I'm
mean?
Yeah.
just saying I'm not sold yet. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
I'm
and
not
that's
sold
what
on
I
it.
wanted to say. It's an early call. So, like watching Cardi B, I would have never said this until she blew up. But seeing the patterns and seeing it, I feel like this is gonna get there. This is gonna get to that level for real.
Well,
That's
well,
what I'm calling early. It's not like she's already proved it to me.
Mhm.
yeah, no, I
That's
get
my
it.
take. That's my hot take. She's gonna be the next one.
You making a bet on a rookie that maybe
Yeah.
was taken in the
And,
second
and you
round.
know what's crazy,
Yeah.
real quick, without getting into sports, Alonzo Lamelo. I thought he was the next star, and that boy can't even play a full season. You know what I mean? But I felt the way he was coming up. So you never know. You never.
It can
They
go
could
either
have the
way for
potential.
sure.
Yeah, they could have the
Either way.
potential. They could have the support, and then they just, for some reason, they're not who they turn out to be.
Yeah, and that kind of even just makes me think about the Nas concert because we talking about a New York rapper that's at the very beginning, around the same age of where Nas started,
Mhm.
and then now you're looking at Nas 30 years later selling out the Garden with a
Yeah.
show. You know, after he did a three album run
Mhm.
that was critically acclaimed. And man, we didn't plan on talking about this, but since we're transitioning from that to the Nas and we're just talking about music overall, I saw a clip from Hot 97 where Ebro was basically talking about that Nas dropped three albums and basically what he was kind of insinuating was like Nas dropped all this dope music, nobody cared, and Jay-Z dropped a 4-minute verse and they were caring more about that verse than all the music Nas dropped. And I know to a certain point it's a hot take thing, you know, you're on the radio to say certain things for them to be jumping off points and everything,
Mhm.
but for you to say something like that when you know what music is about, you've been in the industry long
But
enough.
I let me ask some. This is it. So during the Grammys, and like they had the whole huge hip hop performance. Did you guys hear about that or see any clips of that? Where they
I
had
heard
Busta
about it,
Rhymes,
but
Method
I
Man.
honestly don't
Yeah,
care
yeah.
about the Grammys at all.
But
Mhm.
let me tell you though, during that whole performance, in the audience, the only person they focused on was DJ Khaled holding the lighter up, right? Right, holding lighter up. When Nas and Jay-Z did that DJ Khaled track, it was talked about like crazy. when you do something with the popular, with like that mainstream, like that, like you said, that Pitbull kind of artist, that's what people just talk about more because there's more people who aren't in depth into the hip hop just knowledge and like knowing how hip hop is today. Is that popularity contest of who you do songs with. That's the only reason I think Ho's verse got more
And
shine over anybody because it was on DJ Khaled's track.
and I 100% agree with you because of everything you just said, and that's what bothers me about it.
Oh no,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
The fact that the hype of one verse that, Jay-Z is a great artist. I don't got to get into all that.
It was a
But
10-minute verse, not a 4-minute verse.
but the fact that one verse you're gonna say, oh, this kind of overshadows everything this other guy's been doing for the last 2 3 years, when you really analyze the music, what he's really been doing, X, Y, and Z. And honestly, when you really, really, really think about it, and not even when you really think about it, I'm pretty sure there's metrics to show this. I'm pretty sure Nas made a lot more money and it did a lot more for him, those 3 albums, than that
Yeah.
one verse did for Jay-Z.
Easily.
You know what I'm saying? All the press, this run that Nas is on that culminated into that Madison Square Garden show was because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Jay-Z can sell out Madison Square Garden in a second, but he's not going to sell it out just off of the fact that he dropped one verse.
Yeah, and not only that, great point. And that's what like I'm a Jay-Z stan. I'm a Hovenger. But then so he did that B-sides, but he did it at the Barclays. And that was years ago, which wouldn't hit today like it did then. Who knows if he would even be able to sell that much. But where's Hove's King Disease 1, 2, and 3 in the last few years? Where's that at?
I'm with you again. I'm saying the same thing Lester said. I agree with you 100% on that too. I think my going to like the point of what you were saying, Les, as far as like Ebro actually saying that, it's like you as a music talk show host, that your job is to know music. You should know that. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you're fishing, you know what I'm saying? You should know like the real work, and not only the real work. And this might be my age coming out. You did make a point earlier, Lester, that we're a little bit older, but at the end of the day, bruh, like Nas dropped 3 albums that were fire and like dropped so much knowledge in those albums. Period. Like
And he did it with Hit Boy. Like he did it with
you
one
know
of
what
the,
he
the
he
most
dropped so many
relevant
gems.
producers in the game.
Like you as a music head, you know what I'm saying? Like to even make that statement, it's like there's like a thin line between like getting a reaction and just like blasphemy,
And it's just the fact that, like, you know, you're not even putting qualifiers on it. You know what I'm saying? I know that
Oh
it was a
man, this
longer
guy's talking.
conversation, you know what I mean? And they talked about other things in it, but it's the idea that you're just saying it this way. And that's something that I respect a lot about Charlemagne. Um, he has a certain way of being, and people might not agree with him, whatever the case is. I'm not talking about from that point of view. I'm talking about from the point of view of he's gonna bring up the quote unquote ratchet slash popularity type
Yeah,
argument, but then he's also going to qualify it with whatever actually is going on. You know what I
yeah,
Mhm.
mean? Like if he was to say something like that, I feel like he would say kind of the same thing, but then say, but at the same time, Nas dropped a great body of work and it's done this, this, and that, whatever. You got to kind of give both sides of it. And you got to also understand that, kind of like what we were saying with Bad Bunny, and just overall what we were saying, what are you trying to get out of it? You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't get nowhere near that level because Jay-Z has built himself to a certain level. But if Nas wanted to kind of move more strategically and do things kind of like that, he could do that. It wouldn't hit like
yeah.
how Jay-Z does, but he could
Mhm.
do it. But that's not what he's trying to do. Nas is not Jay-Z and Jay-Z's not Nas because neither of them want to be each other. You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But I don't think Jay-Z has had the equivalence of King's Disease 1, 2, and 3 in this late in the game. He's had great verses. He had what was the last one, 444?
I'm pretty
Oh
sure.
no, or the J Electronica.
I don't know which one came first. I can't
The
remember.
J Electronica.
That was the last one. Yeah. So like as far as the project, he has not teamed up with a producer like Hit Boy and drops 3 solid,
Yeah,
solid fucking albums for a trilogy. That's just
that's
wild.
different, bro.
And then sell out the Garden to perform
All
those three
three of them.
albums.
Like that's different. That's some
Yeah.
that's some legendary stuff. And for you to like really not you, but for him to really try that situation, it's like, come on, bro. You in that industry, bro. You understand how big that is. So to even make that comment, bro, it's like it's apparent that you were fishing. You're trying to get a reaction.
And a lot of times he's a big, I mean, not a lot of times, just period. He's a big Jay-Z guy,
Mm,
and a lot of those people in those positions, they kind of, they stick to those points because, like we're talking about, it gets people talking. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
A lot of it is jumping off points. Their job is to do that, and people like us that we have a little more time and we get a little more leg room to be in depth with what we're talking about. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? But I did want to talk about it from that point of view because going back to the New York show that he did at MSG, Nas was out there. He did the trilogy on that show, and then it was something that was really dope, kind of going around. Was that when he was performing in the middle, or I don't know exactly what part of it, but he kind of just shouted out his mom. Talked a little bit about how he kind of, he knew she was there with him. Just the idea of
She
like.
worked at the store across the street.
Exactly. The idea of them being outside of Madison Square Garden when he was a kid in a completely different situation, and then just kind of looking at where he is now and losing her and kind of just sharing that moment. It was super dope. And it was something that, kind of going back to what you were saying, Joe, that's why Nas is such a dope artist to me, because I know what that moment meant for him, because through his music, I know kind of like where his mind is at with certain things. And he talks
Mhm.
about those different experiences. And even in his interviews, even though he doesn't do that many, he's very transparent about like how he feels and things like that. And that's always been the thing that for me has made me a Nas guy, because I've learned so much listening to Nas, because he's saying
Yeah.
so much and so many layers in things that even something that you might have understood and thought was dope, you might hear it again later, you know, 4 or 5 years later when you're in a little different space and you take it a different way. And I'm the type of guy that sometimes something will hit me in a song, and I like to even look at like, when did they write this, and just
Yeah.
kind of compare it. Like, oh, okay, it was that age. I'm around this age. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It kind of puts you in a different state of mind of like where this person might have been when they were saying certain things.
mhm.
And that's why I'm such a
You know
lyrics
what's
guy.
you know what's dope about them too when you compare them to and how great they are, and you think about maybe the same conversation we had last week. I think Jay-Z was so focused on the success part of it as he got older and as he got deeper in the game, and I think Nas was just still focused on the just making music part of it.
Mm,
And for Nas, it just all came right back around eventually.
mhm.
And that's why you respect Jay-Z at the level he's at, but I still think it's more success over music for him every single step of the way. And for Nas, it's still about how he made it and what he had to go through in the music and all of that. I think they care about two different things as
Mhm.
artists, for sure.
They both do what makes them happy, you know?
Yeah. But that's what I mean. That's why I don't think you can ever compare them to, because they care about two
Different.
completely different things when they make
No,
music.
that's a fact. And it's a perfect example of the duality. You know what I'm saying? Because they're both super dope, and they're both the best way I could describe it. I know I talk a lot about Watchmen. For if people haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. Even if you just check out the movie, but the
I'm gonna
series
I'm
is
gonna
dope.
watch episode 1 tonight.
Yeah, the
I'm
series on
lacking.
HBO is dope, and the graphic novels are dope. But I like the idea of Watchmen, where there's two heroes that are kind of like what we're talking about, Jay-Z and Nas. From the point of view of one of them, he's the smartest guy in the world. He's a guy that's focused on building his empire, and the way that he goes about making the world a better place is through his lens, and it makes sense, but it's completely different than one or two of the other heroes that are kind of the same. Like, they all have their powers and their strengths, but they look at doing good in different ways.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And depending on what type of person you are, you might look at each one of those heroes and say, "Oh, I like how this guy thinks because X, Y, and Z." But it's really just because that's where you would lean. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I feel like that's something in Jay-Z and Nas that, like, a lot of times when you talk to people about it, I feel like a lot of people that kind of look at stuff on the surface a little more, they automatically go with Jay-Z without really being the type of person that deep dives into the music or their careers. You know what I mean? Somebody else, like for example, you, Joe, you actually listen to both of them and you're a big fan of both, and you're making this decision based off of the catalogs, the
Hmm.
type of person, everything. You're taking everything in, but your preference leans to Jay-Z. Other people that I've
But what
seen
I'm
and
telling
have,
you, like,
hold on real quick. The other people that I've
yeah.
seen and had this conversation with, their whole thing about Jay-Z's better is Beyonce's his wife.
Mm.
Now, what I was just gonna interject real quick is that as I'm growing older and as I'm continuously listening to the music that comes out, remember I started with Nas. I was born in Queens. All I knew out of Queens was Nas and Mobb Deep, and I knew Nas was the higher piece right there. I chose Nas to be my favorite rapper, literally just because I was. That's why I became a Mets fan, just because of Nas. Only listen to Nas, everything Nas, and it wasn't until like Volume 2 Hard Knock Life where I started shifting to Jay Z, like right after Ether and everything, all that shit happened. Um, and now, as I still listen to the music, and my homies stayed Nas. I was the only one who shifted to Jay Z, pretty much. All my homies are still huge Nas fans. Um, and then now I'm
And you're
listening,
still
I'm
a
like,
huge Nas fan.
yeah, no, and but now more now as listen to it now today at this age and him at this age and listen to music, I see myself going, damn, maybe Nas was never not my number one. Maybe he's been my number one this whole time. I just didn't play a lot of his music for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right. I'm right back to
Visibility
it.
and the stuff that we've been talking about, and
Yeah.
even what kind of we started with is just, what do you want out of this music? Nas is the type of guy that when you hear him talk, you can tell that he really,
He
really
talking to me
cares.
different. Yeah.
He really, really cares about what he's saying. He really, really cares about the type of music he does. A lot of people have been in the studio with him, says sometimes it takes him a long time to write. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? And I don't look at that as a bad thing or as like a knock against him or anything. I just look at it as, this dude is really, 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 really thinking about what he's saying on these records.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the big thing is? I can still relate.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to Jay-Z, listening to Drake, listening to these artists who are so rich and all they talk about is how rich they are. Sometimes I need to hear really good one of my favorite rappers talk about shit I can still relate to. And that's a little different.
And that's the kind of thing that always makes me lean more towards like a Nas type artist as opposed to like a Jay-Z, or another good example was like Young Jeezy. You know what I mean? Because Quincy knows, like, growing up, the Jeezy thing was always such a big thing because you're around, a lot of trappers, you're around a lot of people that are kind of living that street life, or at least admire it and kind of are like attracted to it. So they
Mm-hmm.
want to kind of have that feeling. And that kind of music is dope. But as far as like it being my favorite, or it being something that I'm gonna play over and over again, like, I'm not gonna do that, because there's only a certain point I can get to where I care about how many bricks you sold, and you know what I mean? I understand the story of the struggle and all that stuff. And a lot of people say, like, when you're a hustler, that hits different. But it's like, at the end of the day, how you make your money doesn't define you or doesn't interest me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially somebody like me that, obviously we all care about money to a certain point, but I don't care about money to the point where like it's a defining thing for me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mhm.
And a lot of people,
Your
the
motivation is different for that.
the chase for the a lot of and this is something that has shifted, with the pandemic, and just over time I'm kind of seeing it. A lot of people are shifting to, okay, money's cool, but what about time? What about freedom? What about happiness?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that when I listen to Nas, I could tell he's on a quest for that.
Right.
He's digging into his mind, trying to figure out, okay, how do I be a more complete person? How do I keep evolving? What gems can I drop, and what observations have I made that have been key things in my life that make me somebody that thinks a different way or maybe has a different kind of understanding. And I feel like that's something that's so important in music. And the cool thing for me, and the thing that attracted me to Nas's music, is it's dope that you can actually do that, but also still make it entertaining and make it something that I'm down to listen to. Because there's also these other rappers that say 700,000 words in each freaking song. And it's just like, okay, you might have had some clever lines in there, and you might have had some double entendres, triple entendres, some metaphors that kind of like, wow, nobody's ever done that metaphor, but it's like that's just telling me how clever you are.
But
Yeah.
this is the thing, and this is like I'm gonna just kind of tie it all the way back around, bro, because that's why I'm not sold on Ice Spice yet. This is I'm gonna tell you why. Because what's pushed in the at least in hip hop, what's really pushed is the same thing. The getting the money, the chasing the guys, chasing the girl. It's the same thing.
But hers is not
But
an
let me finish.
act.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm not saying it's an act. What I'm saying is it it gets old. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
let's
yeah,
be
yeah,
real.
yeah.
Let's be real. Lil Baby's first album was fire. People heard Lil Baby's second album and were like, it sounds
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
first
yeah.
album.
You're right. You're
You
right.
get what I'm
You're good.
saying?
Great point.
So
Great point.
that's my point, is that it's like the longevity
Yeah.
for me.
If she
I'm
comes
not
out
there.
with, if she just keeps sounding the same forever, she's not gonna reach anything. Yeah, that's
No,
for sure.
any artist that we've
She
talked
has to
about for a
evolve.
long
She has to
time,
evolve.
exactly. Any artist that we've talked about for a long time, they've evolved in different ways, multiple
Oh,
times.
all of
You know
them,
what I'm
bro. Every
saying?
single
So
one.
it's like
Everybody.
that to me is where all of these here today going to artists, they fall, they don't evolve.
And it comes back a lot of times for the love of the music, because there's some people that, kind of like Joe's saying, they just got this raw kind of energy and authenticity that people are down to get behind them. If Ice Spice would have decided to be like a canvas artist and post next to her big canvases and try to sell them, people would have bought them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
the energy she's coming with,
Yeah.
and the way she looks, her vibe, everything. That's what makes people say, "Oh, we got to look this way."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's actually putting together that, like, okay, I got their attention. How do I keep them hooked forever? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And some people don't even think about music or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? From that point of view of, how
And
do I keep
that's
them hooked?
and real quick, to someone who's done it late in the game, and we never really talk about it, but Theo Vaughn, and it's the same kind of thing. It's just like they do enough to fulfill that personality and that character, but it's never too much. It's never too much. Like, oh no, no, I can't do it. Now you're overdoing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you know the exact balance of and maintain that, I think that just makes you successful right there.
And that's why I said, I think when we mentioned it in the chat, that's why I said, if her team is smart, I'm going back to Ice Spice. If her team is smart, they will get her into some kind of perfume line, some kind of brand that no matter where the music goes, look at ASAP Rocky. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Rihanna, bro.
Rihanna, you know what I'm saying? No matter where the music goes, she'll continue to be successful. She's straight because she carries that. Like I believe you, and I'm agreeing with you that she carries a dope vibe. She has a dope look. She's unique. All of that is true. But if the music doesn't evolve, that
Yeah,
part will
that's
die
for
off.
sure. That's for sure.
Bro, and kind of piggybacking off what you just said, just to apply it to everything overall, and as we're winding down, there's something that people don't get. Everybody got potential, right? Some people might not feel this way. I had a discussion with Freddie about this where he kind of disagreed with what I'm saying, but I feel like everybody got the potential to do something in a major way. You know what I'm saying? It might not be the path that their ego tells them that they want to go, but everybody has a talent to get them to a certain thing that's going to be successful. But the difference is the follow through. There's so many people that want to do things, here let's use the Ice Spice example. She's starting to do the music. Music is a long haul if you're really trying to say that you're an artist. You know what I mean? If she takes it serious for 1, 2, 3 to 5 years, then you failed. You know what I mean? You might have been successful and you might have attained something and all that, but in the grand scheme of that craft that you were creating and getting better at, you failed.
Yeah.
Why? Because the follow through didn't take you to the point of let me learn this inside and out. Let me figure out how to keep sustaining this. Let me grow as an artist. Let me
Yeah.
evolve. Bro, if you would have asked me 15 years ago who my favorite rapper was, I would have said Nas and Joel Santana, bro.
Mm.
Joel Santana was right there at that time. Those
Santana, the
mixtapes,
bandana.
Back Like Cook Crack, the
Mhm.
Dipset mixtapes, Diplomatic Immunity albums, his first album, his second album, yo, he was so nice. But then when the next round of music dropped, it was the same stuff, but worse because it's like you're not gonna top the creativity and the vibe and the raw energy you
Mhm.
had in that.
Because
Mhm.
I think he wanted different things at that point.
And at the end of the day, it's like he's even copying himself to a point. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like he's trying to capture his own magic. And it's so crazy that he influenced Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne got so
Mhm.
much style and swag and rapping.
Fab too. Everybody.
Yeah, he got so much from Joel
Mhm.
Santana. He wanted to hang out with him so much. And look where Lil Wayne is now, and look where Joel Santana is. Because what
Mhm.
was Joel Santana doing? He was hanging out. What was Lil Wayne doing? He was in the studio knocking out 20
Rapping
songs in one night.
nonstop.
Mhm.
They
And you
want
see,
different things, man. It's crazy. It's
mm-hmm,
when that motivation is different, it shows in the kind of the kind of output you provide.
facts, man.
Facts.
But yeah, bro, we still haven't got to that corporate stuff. I don't think we ever gonna get to it, honestly.
It's timeless conversation. So
Right.
Yeah, but it's kind of like we were talking about before we even started, man. A lot of that talk is boring, bro. That's why it don't be coming up organically when we talking because it's just mundane.
I mean, that's true. But I will say, I'm sure that we all got some stories that people can relate to when it comes to that.
oh, for sure. I We get all that. That's the common talk. It's the conversation we had like today because it literally applies to what we talk about in all our previous episodes. Like it's just we iterate statements and we find different situations in real life in pop culture that can relate to the kind of conversations we have, and it's just about, are you being yourself? Are you being a character for other people? How long does that last before you have to just come to realization, like, who are you?
Mhm.
And I think when you recognize genuine people, those people successful, whatever they're doing, anywhere they're at. I think Giannis is like that. He's a superstar, and his personality and how corny he is, and I hate it, but he's so genuine. It's not an act.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gets you
Fact.
farther than you probably would have been just by being that good.
Yep. He's living his truth and grinding extra hard, and that's the
That's what I
key.
mean. And
That's
I
the
think
key
that's
right
just
there.
the fuel right there.
Facts. But yeah, man. I don't know if y'all got anything else to lead the people with, but that's our time for this week. And anything that y'all wanna get off your chesticles.
Shoot, man. By the time this drop, I got Payback on the way. Payback gonna be dropping on March 24th. So I think by the time this drop, that's gonna, about 2 weeks out, something like that. So y'all stay tuned. I appreciate the love on the Elevate joint, man. Much more music to come.
Yo, Sav?
Shout out to everybody who's followed the podcast page. We seeing the influx of that. Keep sharing our stuff. I'm seeing just people I didn't even know were paying attention, sharing our stuff. We truly appreciate y'all doing that. Keep doing it. It's just it's stuff to think about. We want to spark that thought in your mind of stuff maybe that's been lingering. So that's our goal. Stay grounded for life.
Real talk. Stay butter.